Excellent, thank you. Okay, I call to order the Wilsonville City Council meeting on Monday, June 6th, 2022 at 7:04 p.m. Can I ask the city recorder to please call roll?
Councilor Linville?
Here.
Councilor West?
Here.
Councilor Lehan?
Here.
Council President Akkerval?
Here. Now, tonight I'm going to ask for your assistance and grace. This is a different format than what we've done in the past, but it's what we have to work with for this week's meeting. So I think it's going to be difficult for me to see raised hands. So I'll ask the council to please go ahead and call out motions during the meeting. I'll call on each councilor to make comments during the resolutions. So you can expect to be recognized during that, also during communication items. Of course, you can pass if you don't have anything you wish to say, but hopefully they'll give both some structure and efficiency, so we'll try that out. I'll ask if the city attorney perhaps can lead the audience in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve the order of agenda as amended?
Your Honor, I move to approve the order agenda as amended.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the order of agenda as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, I believe that passes. 4-0. So, excuse me. Before we start the formal part of our agenda, I wanted to acknowledge that many of us continue to have a heavy weight in our minds and in our hearts as we're still grieving the horrific events that took place in Texas at Robb Elementary. And this evening, once again, it prompts me to reflect on how fragile life is. And it's difficult to have words about this tragedy, but I wonder if you will all join me in a moment of silence before we begin. If we could do that now, thank you. Okay, thank you for doing that, and thank you for sharing this evening with us all. Some in person, some remote. And tonight, we are so happy to host some of our youth from Wilsonville High School, and of course, honoring, I think, the youngest members of our community for their achievements and celebrating their promising futures. It's one of our favorite things to do. And so while reflecting on the fragility of life. I think moments and opportunities such as these are still. So I appreciate you doing that, and I appreciate you being with us this evening. The first item under Mayor's business, which I will just be sitting in our meeting this evening as the council president. But we have a proclamation which we're very happy to read, and I will go ahead and read that proclamation. And then I believe Councillor Linville has agreed to kindly help distribute the proclamations to our guests. So I'll start by reading this proclamation.
Can I interrupt a second? I don't know if everyone is aware of the situation here, that, did we say, the mayor is not here today because she's traveling, and Council President Ockervall is filling in as the mayor. But as I understand it, you can't see that we have a packed house here.
That's correct.
So, I mean, I think that all the students that we're honoring should be up here in front of us. Who needs to see? They should be up here while you're speaking so you can see them. They should come up and stand in front of us. Who needs to see the three of us sitting here? She can see you, or, well, you're too far apart for anyone to see. Why don't you just come up here in this little circly place? And then the acting mayor will be able to see you.
Yeah, right in front of us, right in front of our bench.
Just line up right along the
Yep.
One row, another row.
There you go. There you go.
Back it in. Come on over here and get the picture. Now, are you seeing them?
Towards the attorney, just go, make room.
Watch me, that's not. We're not very important. No, we're not. Now you will be on the camera. She can see you.
There you go. Yeah.
Now we got on people.
Thank you so much for facilitating that, Councillor Lehan. It's so delightful to actually see these faces and to know who's in the room. So thank you so much. I welcome you all to City Council this evening. Thank you for making the time to be here with us. And we're very happy to honor you and honor your efforts. They're quite impressive. So with that, I will go ahead and read the proclamation. So whereas Wilsonville residents honor the faculty and administration of Wilsonville High School for providing a well-rounded education that includes extracurricular activities that aid in the development of life skills. And whereas the Wilsonville Wildcats girls varsity soccer team is representative of the high school's commitment to sportsmanship, excellence, and personal development. And whereas these Wildcats have showed off their considerable skills, not just on the field, but in the classroom, the team's cumulative grade point average of 3.92 earned them the Oregon School Activities Association. Yes, please, applaud. Earned them the Oregon School Activities Association Academic All-State Award for highest GPA. And whereas the 2021 Wildcat team finished the season as Northwest Oregon Conference champions, hosting an undefeated season with 18 wins and 1 tie in 19 matches. Whereas the team extended its overall unbeaten streak to 30 games after a perfect 11-0-0 shortened season in 2020. And whereas Wilsonville's dominant offense, 97 goals scored, was matched only by its equally dominant defense and goaltending, 9 goals allowed. And whereas this unstoppable squad scored nearly 11 goals for every goal they allowed and shut out their opponents on 12 occasions. And whereas 6 Wildcat players were recognized as members of the All-State team, and whereas 10 players received first team, second team, or honorable mention all-league honors. And whereas senior Lindsay Antonsen was named Girls Soccer Player of the Year at the 2021 Oregon Sports Awards. And whereas Antonsen now holds the Oregon record for most goals scored, 139 in her high school career, and leads the program as 3-time Conference Player of the Year, 2-time 5A Player of the Year, and 2-time State Championship Player of the Game. And whereas on Saturday, November 13th, 2021, under the guidance of head coaches Alex Boehm and Dallas Malone, the Wilsonville High School girls varsity soccer team captured a 4-2 win over Crescent Valley. And whereas this Wildcat girls varsity soccer team displayed exemplary sportsmanship and dominant play against 5A competition. Their success on the field and in the classroom generated positive attention, excitement, and community pride, while serving as an example and inspiration to the Wilsonville community. Thank you so much. Now, therefore, the Wilsonville City Council proclaims June 6th through 10th, 2022 as Wilsonville Wildcats Week. The Wilsonville City Council commends the passion, resilience, and sportsmanship demonstrated by Wilsonville High School students, parents, and community members, and we congratulate the members of the 2021 Wildcats girls varsity soccer team for winning a state championship. So thank you so much. Yes, applause. Thank you. Excellent. And now I'll ask Councillor Linville to come to the appropriate place in the room. I'm not sure how that will work best, but to help distribute the proclamations.
I think the speakers will be. Can you hear me all right from here? Okay, great. I have the great pleasure of recognizing you as individuals, and so even though not your entire team is here, I'm really delighted that we're able to give you these copies as just a memento of our appreciation for all of the work that you've done. And I will start with the players and we'll leave the coaches till the end. If you will come forward, let's see, can you see? You can't. They drop this and they get back here. Where? Oh, okay. Okay, great. So, Tegan Waters. Woo. I think they can see it from here. Close. Hannah Aldrich. Lindsay Antonsen. Annika Jensen. Ashlyn Ring. Natalie Candig. Cassandra Whedon. Carolyn De Lamont. Campbell Lawler. Brianna Crane. Riley Lawler. Jasmine Brown. And congratulations to the coaches. Head coach Alex Bean. And our JV coaches, CJ Cole. Come up here. So we're going to ask you all to kind of maybe get together, and we'll ask the rest of the council to come forward, and we want to get a picture with you. So Bill, you'll have to tell us how to.
Okay. So let's do for the team like 2 rows. Tolly's in back, Shorty's in front. That's pretty good. Councilor Lindley, you want to step back by Councilor Lehan and Councilor West?
Do you want me to stay on the side? Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, I don't want to stand for the whoa.
All right, if you can each move in on the ends half a step just so we can bring that plan. All right. Terrific. Okay, I'm going to take a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got one. Anyone else need to take pictures while they're there? Great. Thank you and congratulations.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you. How are you? Good. Yeah, you're welcome.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, congratulations.
Good job, guys. Way to go, Wildcats. I like how they put the items on here now, the little item box. It just makes it easier when I go to reference. I like it. Oh. They just don't have that. That's the little things.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Apparently some of them don't have the population in it.
Oh my gosh.
Don't have what?
They don't have the proclamation in the folder.
Oh.
But it's a really nice fold.
It is. Fold is real nice.
Didn't watch it either. Yes.
Okay, I think we're ready. I think we're ready to go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm not sure what the room looks like and if people are settled, but if council's in agreement there, then we'll go ahead with the next item, which is an appointment to our library board. The mayor has given her recommendation of the appointment of Richard Spence to the library board for a term beginning 6/6/2022 to 6/30/2025. And I wonder if I can have a motion to ratify the appointment.
Yes, Council President Ockervall, I move to ratify the appointment of Richard Spence to the Library Board for a term beginning 6/6/2022 to 6/30/2025.
Thank you. Do I have a second on that motion?
Councilor Lehan seconded.
Oh, sorry, seconded. Lehan, second.
Thank you. Excellent.
4 seconds.
It's been moved by Councilor Linville and seconded by Councilor Lehan to ratify the appointment of Richard Spence to the library board for a term beginning 6/6/22 to 6/30/2025. Thank you.
No, Mr. Spence is here. Yeah, we didn't vote.
We got to vote.
And Mr. Spence is here. Perhaps we'd like to invite him up.
Please say aye.
Oh.
No.
Are we voting now?
Yes.
Okay, Okay, aye?
Yes,
Aye.
all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I see 3 hands, aye. All opposed, say nay. Your motion passes 4-0. Thank you.
And Council President Ockervall, if I just could mention, Mr. Spence is here with us, and I just wanted to forward to
thank you.
him our appreciation for his continued work and assistance on our library board, and we're delighted to have you continue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love this
Thank
library.
you so much for letting me know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can you, do you want to come to the,
If you come and sit up here, then the camera
hear
will.
you.
Or you just
The
go-
camera
He's
will
gonna say
notice
something.
you.
Yep. Over here, we're,
Use this mic and I'll turn it.
Well, I think it's a wonderful pleasure to be on the library board. I've been associated with the library since 1996. In fact, I was on the library board back then. And I just love this library. We have the best library any place you could even think about if you've traveled enough. And so I just feel it's a pleasure, and thank the city council for nominating and appointing me to the board. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
it's our pleasure.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for letting me know that he was in attendance and giving a speak. We're very happy to have you in this position and to have you here with us this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now we'll talk about a couple of the upcoming meetings. Let's see, actually, I was going to point out, one of the things that I wanted to point out this evening was there was a flyer inserted in the latest copy of the Boones Ferry Messenger, some of you may have seen, for the summer reading program. So speaking of our library board, there's a lot of great work happening at the library over the summer with the summer reading program. And that was included in everyone's Boones Ferry Messenger, the flyer and the information signing up for summer reading. So I encourage you all to check that out. Events that have occurred since our last council meeting include a visit by the National Credit Union Federation of Korea. And on behalf of the City Council, I had the pleasure of welcoming members of the National Credit Union Federation of Korea to on May 20th. And this delegation was accompanied by the president of the Worldwide Foundation for Credit Unions. And we met at the Korean War Memorial in Town Center Park. The organization sponsored this Global Bridges program to visit the U.S. And Greg Caldwell, Honorary Consul for the Republic of Korea in Portland, and members of Korean War Veterans Association and Korean War Memorial Foundation of Oregon also attended that event. On Memorial Day, Councilor West and I had the opportunity to attend the annual Memorial Day observation ceremony at the Korean War Memorial. And this was sponsored by the Korean War Veterans Association and the Korean War Memorial Foundation of Oregon. And this event is always one of solemn remembrance, and I appreciated being able to be there and share some time with those in attendance. Various organizations participated in the laying of the wreaths in memory of the fallen, including American Legion Post 65, Civil Air Patrol Aurora Squadron, Korean War Memorial Foundation, the KWVA, Oregon Trail Chapter, Oregon National Guard, and City of Wilsonville. And together we were able to preserve the memory of America's sacrifice in defense of the freedom and the peoples of South Korea, and to improve cultural ties between Oregonians and Koreans. This last weekend on February and Saturday night, Parks and Rec Department hosted the ever-popular Wilsonville Family Fairy Dance event. So this was formerly known as the Daddy-Daughter Dance. But we are embracing a wider number of community members to participate. And so this was 2 fun evenings of dancing and fairy magic held at the historic barn in Marassi Plaza of Memorial Park. And the evening featured live DJ, photo booths, prize giveaways, snacks, a good time. The opening for the skate park actually, I believe, had to be postponed, unfortunately, because of some of our wild weather this last weekend. So keep your ears open for that event to be rescheduled in the coming weeks. Let's see, I can report that we wrapped up the fiscal year 2022-2023 city budget meetings in May. And the budget committee reviewed and approved the budget that's now going to be before us tonight later on in the meeting. And then there are two additional proclamations that are in our packet this evening that I want to be sure to draw your attention to. It is Wilsonville Pride Month. And in the city packet for tonight's meeting, you'll see that first, that proclamation. First, this proclamation is declaring June as Pride Month for Wilsonville. And this is an opportunity to show support for our community's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, queer, sexual, and allied members, also known as LGBTQIA+. And you may note that the June edition of the Boone's Ferry Messenger features the Pride Month rainbow flag for this month's masthead. And then, in addition, also in the council packet is the proclamation declaring June 19th, 2022 as celebration of Juneteenth in Wilsonville. And to celebrate the abolition of slavery in this new national holiday, the city's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee has helped to organize a Juneteenth celebration. And this celebration will be on Saturday, June 18th at 10 a.m. to noon at Town Center Park. And the event, which is underwritten with a Wilsonville Community Opportunity Matching Grant program, will feature live music from the 10-piece Afrobeat band Jujubah and Moroccan food tastings from Dar es Salaam restaurant, and presentations, educational materials, health screenings, and more. It's going to be a fun and exciting event. I'm excited to join that. Let's see, there are a few new business chamber ribbon cuttings coming up. I'll have to send my regrets for the ribbon cutting this week since I'm staying at home. But I believe council members actually also planning on attending, so perhaps if Councilor Linville can make a comment about that. Also, the City of Wilsonville and Clackamas Community College is hosting the Wilsonville Business Summit on Wednesday, June 15th. I wonder if, again, Councilor Linville, because I know you've been involved in that, if you want to make some comment about that's coming up. And want to alert everyone that the next City Council meeting is scheduled for Monday, June 20th at 7 p.m. And with that, let's go around, with that we have our communications. So at this time, I will ask for the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office representatives to come up and present their information on the new online database.
I'm going to come up to you and we'll modify some stuff here. Good evening, everyone. Rob Werps here, Police Chief for Wilsonville. Do I need to turn it on? On this other one? Ah, here it is. Start my video. There we go. Okay, much better.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. It's nice to see the faces. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Council meeting this evening.
two pieces today. Technology, that's what we're here to talk about, some updates in technology to provide to everyone. There's two things we'll be talking about just quickly at a high level, here to answer questions, of course. One is the capability to make a report online. I'll show that and go into some details. And then the other piece of this, and while Ashley's here for us, is that there's also now, you can go and see data live online too. These are real public links, they're easy to get to. So now that we've got those two pieces divided up, I'm gonna introduce Ashley Calhoun. And I want to publicly thank Ashley. It's probably embarrassing for you, I'm sorry, but she has done so much work to update our reports over the last few years, incorporating new technologies, constantly meeting with us about how can we make it look better, how can we make it more meaningful, and more easily digestible. The project that she will show you is mostly her work. And anytime I've needed any help with mapping or going through analyzing any type of data related to crime in the city, she's always been right there and super helpful. So thank you so much for that. I'll do my part first. And so this is what we're about to dive into. Oh, sure. We'll switch seats here in a moment so she can have access to the laptop. So this part is just for me. And so this is what I'm going to do is that I got the computer screen up. Can you guys see the computer screen?
No.
The share screen option. Thanks for the help. I'm just thanking everybody tonight. Particularly me.
We're going to go share screen. Share screen. Has you on this one.
Okay.
Share, you're welcome. Okay.
Better, much better. All right. So this is the first thing we're going to talk about is the online report. So this is a way that residents can make an online report, and this is only for minor crimes. It'll walk you through, and we'll walk through this together. So if you wanted to do it this way, also let me back up and say, you don't have to do it this way. If you prefer us to come to your house to talk to you about it, we'll do that. If you prefer us to talk to us on the telephone about it, or do both, we're happy to do those things. This is merely just another tool at your disposal, so you're not required to use it. Customer service is very important to us. So this is the city website. You can find this by simply going to Google and typing in City of Wilsonville. I've tried it on several different browsers, so I know it always gets me here. Then you just go to the drop down in government, and on the very right-hand side, you'll see under departments, you'll see police. We'll click on that. And then you simply scroll down here, and you see this, there's a link here that says online reporting. All right. So we simply go to that. And it tells you if this is an emergency, call 911. Again, this isn't designed for emergencies. This is for very minor incidents that have, and it has some clear things to screen this, but no evidence, no physical evidence, no photographs, no videos are available. We don't have any idea who may have committed this crime. So to me, we can just use the most simplest crime, like somebody stole a valuable garden gnome or something like that. That's kind of what, or somebody ran over your mailbox, somebody hit your car in a parking lot and there's no evidence of who did it. Those are the type of crimes that if you need a case report, you can come here, go through this, and we will get you a case number. So first question, I'll just walk through a few of these because it's very intuitive. There's nothing here that's tricky or confusing. It's very easy to use, particularly if I can do it. So anybody can do it. We do have a maps available here if you're not sure whether you're in Clackamas County. So the first question it asks you is, hey, did it occur in Clackamas County, which we are in? We would say yes, and then it asks you about other municipalities to ensure, hey, did this not happen in Milwaukee or Oregon City? We'll say no to that. And are there any known or named suspects? Again, if there's ring camera video or your neighbor has a good description of somebody who did something at your house, then this isn't the right format. Please call us. And if we were to check the wrong box on this, it will tell you, hey, this right here, it'll pop up, say this cannot be reported online. Please call us directly. Otherwise, it'll just keep going. The other thing that we cannot do online is stolen cars, stolen firearms, or stolen narcotics. So again, this isn't the correct format for that. So we're going to check no on that one. And just like I said, stolen vehicle, also no. And burglaries, we prefer to come out on those. So if someone's broken, a burglary is when someone breaks into your home and steals something or commits a crime therein. I'll just click no on that real quick, and then it'll ask you to begin the report. And again, this is all very intuitive. I'm not going to spend a lot more time on this because I've run through all this, and again, there's nothing tricky about this. It's very straightforward. Here it'll ask you for incident types. If you're unsure, you can read through some of the definitions, which are clearly listed here. What theft from vehicle, lost property, vandalism, those type of things, and you can check which box. So if we use my garden gnome example, we go to theft, and then continue, and then this will keep leading you this way very simply, very cleanly. Are you a business or an individual, right? We'll say we're an individual. We'll continue to that. And then this is where I'm going to kind of wind down because I don't want to bore everybody to death. But here's where you would put your name and the address, the time it occurred, what was damaged, an email that we can contact you with. And then as you fill all these out, and it won't let you really make an error. It's very, very confined. You can go into the details and then give us a short narrative of your explanation as to what happened. It'll let you review it, and then you would hit submit. It goes to us. It gets reviewed by a case officer to make sure everything matches up, and then we can respond to you by email as to with a case number, or if there's an issue with it, then we will get a hold of you to fix it. So that's kind of my presentation on the online reporting thing. So now I'm going to hand the controls over to Ashley and let her talk to you about the data, which is also available to the public, fun to play with, and again, can be accessed through the city site. The link's right here, Ash, and I'll let her take over because she's much better, and she created this so she can answer your questions much more clearly. All right, I'll switch places.
Do they need me to do anything?
I'll just have you take over there, and I'll stand over here.
All right.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So let's say somebody else discovered this gnome, and they said, I don't know where this gnome came from, I just found it in my yard. Do you have the ability to go back to the person who reported it online and say, I think we found your gnome?
In the simplest example I provide there, yes, right? We do keep record of this. This actually becomes an official police report. This is just a new way of doing it. But to be more detailed on that, say you had a gnome that had a serial number, or that you had put your name or initials on the bottom of it, right?
Yeah.
That changes things because now that's not a good example for this, because that's a trackable, something we can enter into a database to alert if we run a particular serial number. But on the more simple cases like those, these cases can break open. Let's say that somebody makes a report of somebody hit my car in a parking lot. There's no evidence now. I make my report, but all of a sudden an officer stumbles into this like, oh man, I got a video of this car here, and then we can backtrack that and
go
then
back and
open
check
this report.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Won't take up too much of your time. Hopefully it'll just take a couple minutes. I won't go into all of the nuts and bolts and details. It's really intuitive. It's something that you have to get on there and start playing around with it and filtering and seeing what it can do to actually learn what it does and see the full effect of it. But I do want to show you where it is, and I want to just kind of introduce some features of it and explain a little bit more about it here in detail. So there is a link to it on our Sheriff's Office website. That is where all of our dashboards are. Just a little bit about the dashboards. This is our first wave of dashboards of our data that we're publicly sharing now with the community. And it is our call data. It is the most data that we have, and we're condensing it from there. So we start with our call data, which is pretty enormous because we cover the whole county, unincorporated county, and 3 contract cities, including Wilsonville. And then from there, in a couple weeks, we're going to release our next wave, which is going to be our reported crimes. And then from there, the sheriff's going to have to make some decisions about what to release next. But on the docket, I think it is going to be response times for calls, which is a big deal, as well as traffic statistics too. And then from there, we'll kind of go from there and see where we want to go. But for now, I think we want to get those 4 or 5 out there. But for now, we're starting with calls, and it's our cornerstone, definitely. So if you're on the actual website and you go to records and policies here. There's a link right here to dashboards, and we have organized this based on jurisdiction. We just kept it super simple. So if you go to a jurisdiction here, you're going to see, pretty soon you're going to see a drop-down list, and it's going to show you all of the different kinds of dashboards. For now, we only have one, so it doesn't show you that, but I'm going to show you Wilsonville over here. And this software that we're using is called Tableau. It's kind of the top of the line software for the analytics department, for visual analytics and for interactivity. It's what Portland uses, it's what Seattle uses, it's what a lot of major cities use, and we were fortunate enough to be able to use it as well. So what you're going to see here is you're going to see some tabs at the top. You're going to land on your dashboard first, so you're going to see a lot at one time. But this is the dashboard that you're going to have the interactivity with here, and it goes all the way down. Should go all the way down here. Okay, so it goes all the way down. But if you go to this About page here, this is kind of a landing page just to tell you a little bit of data, a little bit of metadata, and what some definitions are, and a little bit more context into what you're going to be seeing. It also has some links here. This is a handy link too if you want to see how our calls are grouped and typed based on what we get from CCOM. So,
CCOMs are the 911 dispatch center. We love our acronym.
If you go here, just quickly, all of our data isn't just interactive, it's also available for you to download and use yourself. You can put it into an Excel spreadsheet, and you have access to do what you want with it for a project, or just to kind of delve into it yourself if you wish. We give you that opportunity, so we give you all of our data. So we have 4 years worth of data for call activity on our dashboard so far. When you land on this page, it's going to default to year to date, and it's going to end at the last full month. So we only update this once a month. You won't get anything unless it's a full month's worth. So in July, we will put all of June on there, and we do that at the very beginning of the month. We don't have this live. The software can do live, but we prefer it not to be live. It's a lot of data that would be running through constantly, and it doesn't really work like that. It's more of something you wouldn't really want to use as like a scanner tool or to view in the present time. It's a little bit more in-depth, and it's not really designed for that purpose. So we have it on a delay, which is a month long, and we think that's pretty adequate. That's a lot of what people ask for anyways when they're requesting data. So it's monthly. So the only default you're going to see on here is going to be the month and the year, and like I said, it's going to be year to date. Everything else you see on here is going to be filterable, and these filters work together. So every time you hit a filter, it's going to interact with all of your other elements, and every time you hit a filter, you're really just delving down into a number, and you're getting something really specific. And you can see how all of the other filters here interact with everything else, so you can actually see how it impacts all the other elements. I'll just briefly go through these elements really quick, and then just explain a little bit. But really, like I said, it's to get to know this tool and really kind of appreciate what it can do. You're going to have to use it and go down some rabbit holes, which you probably will. And it actually can be really interesting when you really see what it can do. Here, real quick, here's some instructions for how the filters work. And if you get lost, there's always some buttons down here too that'll bring you back to where you started. So with that, I'll just kind of tell you a little bit about what they do, and then I'll take some questions and kind of let you go explore this great tool on your own time. One thing I did also want to mention about this is Currently, this tool is only compatible for a desktop. So as much as people would love to just pull it up on their phone, they can pull it up on their phone through the link. It's just, it won't be compatible for the formatting right now. We haven't gotten that far yet. We're still pretty new. And that is coming. We just had to figure out a way that we're going to format it and what we're going to keep and maybe condense to a phone format. So your best format is going to be on a desktop or a laptop. So we just have our filters here for our priorities. And we also have public initiated versus deputy initiated. Basically, these are all our dispatch calls versus all of the calls that a deputy would initiate themselves, like a traffic stop or something of that nature. Basically, here's an outline of all of the different types of calls that really breaks it down into types, and then from types, we also break it down into groups. So this is where people really like to get specific with their groups, is if you look through like the crime group, you can see all of the different crime types that all of the calls came in typed as, and you can filter them as well. So, and just another caveat to these call types here, it's initially what CCOM or the 911 dispatchers, what they type the call initially. And we can't guarantee that it's going to be the actual nature of the call. It's just what it's captured as first. If it develops into something else, it may or may not get changed. So that's just something to keep in mind, that things do develop as calls go on, but you can only type them as one type. So usually it's the initial type that stays there. All right, so the kind of the gem of our dashboard here is the map of Wilsonville, and just to tell you a little bit about that, this is called a hex bin map, and really there's 3 layers on this, and these bins here are the data layer, and basically if any call that's currently filtered falls within by coordinates, whether latitude or longitude, if it falls within this little area, then it will get highlighted. And depending on the color depends on how many calls are within it, basically. So each little hex bin represents approximately 1 square city block. So you can see where the calls are, you can see where the calls aren't. But again, this is just the data that's currently here. This changes as the data changes too. All of this is filterable. There's a couple different tools up here to do that. And I can just use this tool here to grab some data. All of this data will affect everything else, and it'll filter. And this is where you can really start exploring and seeing what calls are where and what the calls look like, and you can start incorporating some temporal or time components to calls and location components, and it can get really interesting. And then just down here is basically where our time elements are. So we have a basic monthly map. This gets bigger if you add more calls to it. So if I added all 4 years, which you can do, it'll look really busy here. It just has the current year right now. This is really nice too. This is a time matrix. Basically all these squares represent an hour and a day of the week. As you can see, here's the busiest times, and then here's the not so busiest times. All this is also filterable. You can do it by one or you can do it by many, but everything, like I said, is filterable. I can't stress that enough. And then just down here is some metadata and just when it was last updated, and basically who maintains this. And that's really the gist of it, of all of the elements. Like I said, you'll probably learn a lot more as you go, because there's just a lot to it. But I like data, so I find it really interesting. I enjoyed building it. I'm building other projects too, so this is just the first one that we actually were able to launch publicly.
That looks amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you. We did take a lot from Portland. We did model a lot of what they did, and we tried to enhance it and kind of make it our own. So I think we did a good job of doing that. I think we did a good job of being able to answer a citizen's questions without them having to pay money to request a records request just to see what's going on in their neighborhood. And we're going to have even more coming up too. So they may not always be interested in call activity, but we're definitely going to have a lot more. Reported crimes is definitely going to be an interesting one too. So they'll be able to see that. This is all free, obviously. If they do, this won't give you context, though, unfortunately. This gives you the what, the where, and the when of call data. It doesn't give you the who or the why or the how. If you explore this and you have questions or things have developed and you want to know more about something, why these numbers are the way they are, that's when it's time to make a records request into us and tell us exactly what you want, and we can help you answer your questions and give you the data that you need in the context as well, in the way that you need it, basically.
So I don't have a way to ask for permission to talk, but but I have a question. Yeah. So if when you say these are reported calls reported for what?
These are all recorded calls that come into our dispatcher that get assigned to our jurisdiction, that get assigned to the city of Wilsonville based on their location. Yes.
So if something got reported as something and then later in the day an officer comes out and they discover, or the person discovers it was an error. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't have reported that. We found the item in our backyard when I reported it stolen or something like that. Does it get removed, or it's still there as reported even though now it's resolved that it didn't happen?
Because this is call data, the nature of call data is to report what happened no matter what. No matter what happened, it's reporting productivity along with a lot of other information. So it will always be there, but if it was a crime and it got reported as a crime and it generated a case number and then it turned out not to be such, I don't know if the case number, I don't think the case number would go away.
Nope.
I don't think so. So I think it would stay. If it did turn into a case, it would stay, and the call data would stay too. But in a way, that's a good thing because we have a record of everything that happens. Yeah. We have a record of the officer or the deputy that responded to that, that provided the assistance, regardless of if it was really needed or not. So it does stay there as it being something that was reported and was responded to, yes. And also, just one more thing, just being a builder of tools and things like that, my colleagues and I, we're always welcome to feedback. We haven't gotten a lot of community feedback from this tool yet because we don't really know if a lot of people have actually seen it. And we're trying to get the word out about it. But we do welcome feedback. We would love user feedback on this, especially with the usability and the friendliness of it. If there are issues and problems or things that we can improve, we're always looking for that. So you could probably forward that to.
Absolutely. Just, reach out to me and I'll we'll get to the bottom of it.
We love to look into that and address it. So just to make the product better. It's an ever-living product, so we just keep building on it. And this is the foundation we started with, but it could definitely grow, so. All right, sorry, I took up a lot of your time.
Thank you, Ash.
Great, well done.
This is fantastic. I wonder if we want to go around the council members, if there's other questions from Councilor West. Do you have any questions?
I think it's super informative. I think that this is great. It brings transparency and it kind of gives people immediate access to really valuable data. It kind of puts them in the driver's seat a little bit, which is fantastic. And this is, and my understanding what you're showing us right now, this is year to date from January to where we're at today with calls?
The end of May.
To the end of May with calls. Are we busier than normal? Is this normal halfway through the year?
I'm glad you asked that, because we were talking about that on the way in, and I know you see all those dots, you're like, oh my gosh, everything's out of control. You're just, I want to warn people, you're just looking at it in a new way. Our crime rate's been fairly consistent over time. We're not seeing any spikes. I mean, we see spikes here and there, and we try to address those, but I don't want people to be alarmed. You're just looking at it in a new way. This has been pretty consistent over time.
Perfect, thank you.
This shows basically what the public is reporting, obviously, but it also does show too what our deputies are doing on a regular basis and what our self-initiated activity looks like in the numbers. I think that's really important too for the community to know that our productivity levels, they're of course always going to be a little bit behind our dispatch calls because those are priority, but it's always going to be there, and it's always high. As you can see right now, we're at 41% or almost 42%. So I think that's great, actually.
So can you answer what is assist? Is that like a welfare check or something like that?
Yeah. So actually, you can see a little bit more here. Let's click on assist here. So all of these things count as an assist, basically. And these may or may not have turned into something else depending on what the situation was, but this is what the call was coded or typed as it came in. And and a lot of these are very broad because they come in typed very broad. You don't really know the nature of the assist unless you go into details of the call, or it turns into a report that you can read later. But you can see here that there are some.
But by far, the most is assist public.
Oh, absolutely. And you can see, but by far, too, we have the most deputy-initiated assist public, too, when it comes to...
A lot of times, somebody will flag us down, and the officer will go, yeah, I'm out in a public assist, because he doesn't know, and that's how we might code it initially. Somebody may walk into our lobby and say, I got some questions, and we'll put ourselves out in a public assist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's just one of the many things here that you can definitely delve into and learn more about. And I mean, open your eyes too to all of the different things that, not just crime, but a lot of different things that come in that get a response from us too, in some way or other. And if something does come in and it is the online reporting, it will not go through this system because it did not generate a call. So that is something to keep in mind. However, that report, when it generates the case number, that will be counted in the reported crimes. And you will see that on that dashboard, the one that's coming. So that is something to keep in mind, that we will not be able to capture those in the call activity.
Those little charcoal hex or freckles or dots.
Oh yeah, the hex bins.
So that's one full city block?
Yes.
Can you
equivalent.
get granular and click on an exact hex and be like, this block has a lot of calls, or this?
Yes, you can actually.
And is it like, it looks like you can, are those, so it even kind of overlays on like property?
It does. So we made the map underneath, we made the layers transparent so you can see a little bit of context when it comes to where things are at. Granted, these don't line up with actual city blocks of like suburban areas and things like that. It's literally just an overlay.
Okay.
And you're looking at areas that are the equivalent of the size of a city block,
okay,
basically. And it was just a really good way, a granular way that we could capture location data to where we could diversely use it, because otherwise we didn't really have a way to break up Wilsonville or other cities.
So if I looked up medical assist, I could, it would make it would narrow my data.
Yes.
And then I can say, oh, right here, we have more medical assist than anywhere else in the city.
Yes.
Okay.
You could. So yeah, based on the colors, you can just look at a quick view and you can see where the heavier areas are.
And then you click on one of those little gray hexes and it gives you even more data on that specific block?
Yes, so you can see that there's 2 here,
okay,
as opposed to 1 everywhere else that's blue. But if you do click on this, it will definitely give you the most granular view it could pretty much give you, which both of those were high priority. They were both dispatch calls. And you can see here when they happen, roughly.
There's also some intentional vagueness on the size and location because people have privacy too.
That's true.
We don't want to get too granular.
To mention, we did not put actual address location in here. You can't download it with the data that we provide. There's just too sensitive to do that, especially with all of the call types we're providing. So if there is an interest in your neighborhood, we can definitely help you out with that, with a formal records request. But no, the most you can get with location really is basically with these little hex bins, which I think provides a lot more, honestly, than a lot of other tools like this and other municipalities do. If you look at Portland's, you go on their website and they have the same software, but if you look at them, they just go by neighborhoods. And you know what's going on in the neighborhood, but you don't know what's going on in your block and or down the street. So not that you need to know everything, but I think this does make it a lot nicer to really zone in on things without actually specifically knowing which house things happened at, because I think that's not really what this is for.
But it does say like, oh, this one specific area of the city, a park, an intersection, something is taking more police resources than other places, and like, is it a hot spot? Is it, what's going on there? So it kind of allows citizens to see that. It
does. When you start clicking around, you probably notice some of those, they're going to be red. This actually here is the...
Oh, you actually make it a hot spot?
It's a hot spot in and of itself, in that it turns red.
Okay.
Because the call volume is so vast. This here, by the way, this is the police station. So,
Very busy place.
but things get reported here, and then if they walk in, this address is what gets recorded, not for the actual crime, but just for where the call was taken. Unfortunately, we did include those because there was a lot of data there, but. Actually, if you look at this, you will be able to see like where the commercial areas are that have a lot of high call volume, as well as apartment complexes that are also high volume. They won't tell you what it is, but it will tell you there's 216 calls within this area, this little area for the year. That's probably either a high commercial area or an apartment complex. As opposed to a lot of these other areas in the suburbs and in the neighborhoods that have 1 and 2 calls.
Does assisted living count towards you guys, or is that more fire and paramedic?
So we don't have fire calls in there.
We don't.
But we do.
So it's not, this is law enforcement specifically?
Yes, law enforcement presence.
That actually can fall into assists. We'll be asked to assist medical on certain calls.
And then just one more quick thing I'll point out to you. Is with the map is we gave the option to actually include the top 5 areas or exclude them, and all that does really is it provides you more divisiveness when you're looking at the whole spread, because everything is concentrated right now in this red here, and everything else is blue because it's so much lower than what this red one is and what this one here is. So everything else compared to this number is blue, as you can see. So if you have the option to take those out, then you will see a little bit more color variability and of what's next or what's left besides the top 5, which I think is really helpful. When you really want to see something and get rid of the outliers, because these are really outliers. So now you only have up to 92 instead of 257, which it's nicer. It's a nicer way to look at all the other data when you don't want to look at the top 5. You can also include just the top 5 too, so you can see right away where the top 5 areas are for calls. So it's just a quick way to kind of get there and to see the data in a different way. Let's click that back. And you can't break this, so not on the user end, so don't worry about that. I guess you could just kind of overwhelm it, and then you just refresh it, and then it'll just go back to its default settings, and you can just do it again. And go forth and explore and tell people about it. Please, we're super excited for what's coming, and we want people to know, we want people to use it. Every day people phone in and they want data, and we direct them directly to here. So that's what we're doing, and we would love it if you guys did the same and got the word out. Also, feel free to check out the other cities too. The county map looks a little bit different. If you live in the county, this will be of interest to you. The map is a CPO map. Basically, we have 47 land areas. We don't have the hex bins. It was just too much data. The county's huge. So, but we were able to divide them up in a way that people really wanted the data. So feel free to check that out too. Everything is the same except for the map. And the ELED as well. So
very cool.
It's a hex bin map too. But other than that, any other questions? I took a lot of your time. I apologize. Okay, thank you so much. Oh, sorry.
Linville, did you have a question? I want to make sure that I'm not skipping over anybody.
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you for this presentation. And I applaud you for having this very robust tool, but also having the option of downloading the raw data.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when you see a good tool put in place, they take that away of the option of the raw data. So it's nice to have them both. Thank you. I look forward to checking it out.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Council statistician.
And now, let's see, our next item, I believe, is the Wilsonville Community Sharing Update. So I'll welcome them up to the front here.
Hi, I'm Cricket Jones, the City of Wilsonville Finance Operations Supervisor. The city provided funds last year to Wilsonville Community Sharing to help with their program. Many times city staff are aware of citizens struggling to pay their water bill, or they'll call the front desk to see if there's any assistance the city can provide. We refer those individuals to Wilsonville Community Sharing. Part of the funds provided by the city are designated to help with utility assistance. Their employees are always kind and friendly and are able to talk to the person and help determine the best way to utilize resources to help them out. So tonight we have Wilsonville Community Sharing via Zoom. And so I'd like to introduce Carlos Salazar, the board president, and he'll be able to tell you more about the wonderful programs that they offer there and highlight the things they've accomplished this last year. Carlos, I saw you in.
Right. Hey, thank you. Thank you very much. Can you guys see the screen? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for having me. And we've got, I think, Jerry Bohard, the vice president of the board of directors, and Lee Crosby, executive director now of Wilsonville Community Sharing, are also, I don't see them, but I know they're on. So I'll just kind of get started on the slideshow here, tell you a little bit about Wilsonville Community Sharing, what we do, what we've been doing over the past year since our last meeting. Lots of good stuff happening. So we'll just dive right in. So what we do, so we provide, at Wilsonville Community Sharing, we provide social services, food assistance, utility assistance, and mental health services to any community member in financial need or just in need in general.
Excuse me, Carlos, can you hear me?
So
Can you?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay. Would you be able to put this on the slideshow mode? It's really tiny on our screens, and
it's really tiny on my screen too. So
yeah, up on the right-hand side next to the yellow over, it says slideshow.
One more over.
Yeah.
No, not share. The slideshow. There you go, right there. There you go.
There.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I couldn't read it either. Luckily, I had this hard copy here. All right, so snapshot of 2021, the food bank distributed 88,982 pounds of food. They assisted 83 renters with utility assistance monies. And they assisted 23 community members with housing and COVID support. So, and that was from some ARPA funds that we were able, Lee Crosby had secured for Wilsonville Community Sharing to help, so we could help those in need from COVID. So right now we have 43 active volunteers working multiple shifts. They pick up food, stocking shelves, assisting clients. And many of the volunteers, they've been, I think in our last meeting, Lee was telling us that some of them have been around for 15 and 20 plus years. So it's really great to know that we have such committed volunteers. Anytime Lee needs something done, she always has people to call. So, a big thank you to all those volunteers and the people in the community who have supported Wilsonville Community Sharing. It really, I've been very surprised to see the amount of help that people will offer to Wilsonville Community Sharing in the community and in the city as well. So our team consists of myself as the board president, Jerry Bohard, vice president, Nicole Hendricks is the secretary, Katie Eicher is the treasurer, Tom Hughes is a member at large, Megan Chenard, member at large, Jerry Call, member at large, Lee Crosby, executive director, and Lonnie Snyder, staff, and Andy Yates, staff. So, So we've got some, just to show you kind of the demographics of who's getting help, who's coming to the community sharing for assistance. You see the age groups here is the first slide. So the majority at 31% are between 25 and 44 years old. And then you also, you see that the next highest, we have two groups at 20%. One of those is 5 to 17. So you're seeing a lot of families that are coming for help. Mid-aged with children coming in for help. So the next largest is again at 20%, is 45 to 64 years old. And then we've got 11% is 18 to 24 years old. So ethnicity breakdowns. So we've got 60% are white, 5% Black or African American, 3% Hispanic, and actually Hispanic and another race, 12% Hispanic Latino, 7% are multiple ethnicities, and then 9% undisclosed. So this year, so since we last met here last year during the council meeting, last year I think we had actually announced that Lee Crosby, who'd been on the staff for I believe 22, 23 years at the time, we had appointed her as the acting executive director. And at the beginning of this year, Lee was appointed as the executive director at Wilsonville Community Sharing. Well-deserved, and she's been doing an amazing job so far. So, and there's been all kinds of new exciting things going on at Wilsonville Community Sharing for her to dive into with us. So we added 3 new board members since our last meeting. In our last meeting, actually, we had a new board, and there was 5 of us at the time. And we filled out our board with 3 new additions. That was Jerry Call, Megan Chenard, and Tom Hughes, who both, and all 3 of them have been awesome and all bring some great assets to the team here. We refreshed all of our governing documents, the bylaws, and the articles of incorporation, and Lee was able to secure the ARPA funds for, those are the COVID relief funds, which we've been able to help, I think it was 23 members with housing because of that. In the works, we're moving, so that's big news to some. I think it's made its way around to quite a few community members, but I think it's news to the majority. And so what we learned it was the end of December, we were notified by Grace Chapel that they had decided that they had plans to add additional services, and they were out of space at their new building. And so they basically they need their building back so that they could, do some projects that they're working on. And so one of our first calls was out to the city. We spoke with Brian Cosgrove, and I have to tell everyone that it was really incredible how the kind of support the city gave us. We didn't know what to expect. I won't say we didn't expect the city to help, or we did. We really didn't know how it would be taken and what we could, what direction we'd go. But we were put at ease really quickly. It was one phone call. We talked to Brian Cosgrove. I know he talked to people, and they got back to us very quick and said, we got you. We're going to take care of you. We love what you guys do here in the community, and we definitely need to have a food pantry and the services you offer, and as a matter of fact, maybe some more services down the road. And they found us a new location. So we'll be moving to a new location at the end of June, end of this month. We'll start our transition over to the new building, which is, it's going to be a temporary building, timeline's undetermined, and we'll move again in 9 months, 12 months, or something of that sort. But we've got a great location over by the Art Tech building, and it's going to work really great. So in addition to that, so Jerry Bohart, are you on?
Yes, I am. Yes,
yeah.
I am.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Well, Jerry, I just, if it's okay with you, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but you kind of spearheaded this so far with the strategic planning that we've been doing. Got a little interrupted, but you held a meeting this last month and did a SWOT analysis. And so I just want to give you an opportunity to tell the council a little bit about what we've been doing there.
Sure. So I'm Jerry Bohart. I've been a resident here for a while, and we recognized after updating our bylaws and whatnot, and also recognizing that we were going to move, and with COVID, and that what does the future of the Wilsonville community sharing look like? So we've started a strategic planning process to really understand who our clients are, understand what might be changing in the future. So, like this community, our demographics change, we grow. So what should we be expecting, and what do we need to prepare for in the future? So we've just embarked on that, and really had an interesting discussion about who our client base is and their needs and how they look very different. And we do anticipate probably shortly after the move, and perhaps during some of the events that go on in the summer, that we'll start doing some outreach and input to our various partners. So obviously a key partner is the City of Wilsonville, but utility companies and others about what they need in our partnership, what they need from our staff, so that probably in the coming year, we can start to think about what does our future look like and what will those needs be, so that we're better prepared to prepare for the future. So anyway, it's probably going to be about a year process or so, and it will link up with our budget cycle. So more to come on that.
Thank you, Jerry. All right. So, and Jerry just spoke to this. So, three of our big focuses: community awareness, through the strategic planning process. What can we do to bring community awareness, community connection, and explore and pursue any opportunities that might be there that we can serve the community through. And that's about it. So we'd be happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your presentation, for the continued work that you do in our community, very important work, and for being with us this evening. I wonder, I'll call on council members and see if they have any follow-up questions that they'd like to ask. We'll start with Councillor Lehan. Do you have any questions that you wanted addressed?
No, not really, other than I would love to come have a tour of the new, when you're settled in your new facility.
Yeah, I think there's probably several of us would, so if we can put something together, that'd be fantastic. Councillor West, do you have any questions?
I do not, but great presentation. Thank you for all the work you guys do.
Thank you. And Councillor Linville, do you have any questions?
No, I don't, but I also thank you for, I think you've been a lifesaver, especially for a lot of our citizens through the past 2 years when people have been isolated and extra impacts that came about because of the pandemic. So thank you for your work, and especially to the board and the volunteers.
Thank you. And again, I appreciate you coming and giving this presentation. I'll remind council members that on our consent agenda, there is a resolution authorizing support agreement with Wilsonville Community Sharing later on in the agenda. So thank you very much for coming this evening, and we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And with that, we will move on to our next item, which is citizen input and community announcements. So this is an opportunity for visitors to address the City Council on items not on the agenda, and it is also the time to address items that are on the agenda but not scheduled for a public hearing. Staff and City Council will make every effort to respond to questions raised during citizens' input before tonight's meeting ends, or as quickly as possible thereafter. And we ask that you please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Do we have anyone that wishes to make any input tonight?
It looks like we do not have anybody who wants to make a comment.
Okay, and anybody on online on the Zoom meeting that wishes to make comment?
No, we do not.
Okay, thank you very much. So we will now move on to councillor comments, liaison reports, and meeting announcements. And we will start with Councillor Lehan.
We will? Okay. We usually start with Councillor Ackerval, but I guess she already went. So I will leave the art festival to Councillor Linville. But it was fabulous, other than for me to say it was the best Charbonneau Art Festival I have ever been to, and it's a fabulous building, the first I had been in the new Activity Center building. So absolutely marvelous. I was greatly disappointed that we did not have our skate park dedication, because I was prepared to be there with a guest skater. So I will have a skateboarder, and so I'll have to see if he's available on another time, but there you go, missed out on that. But what can you do in the rain? I was mostly involved in the last couple of weeks with Memorial Day preparations and getting ready for it, and et cetera. And I know we don't have a lot of time, but I wanted to tell you one little story at Pleasant View Cemetery, which I'm sure many of you came out to see how pretty it was looking. But on the Friday night before, we had about 30, 35 Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, and a lot of adults out to put out the flags. So we put out about 180 flags for our veterans. And one of the moms asked me if she discovers two little, little gravestones with the lambs on top of them, which means they're babies. And she asked if she could cut some snowballs and put them on those two graves. And I said, well, sure, because this bush has way too many blooms anyway. It really needs to be trimmed back. So take as many as you want. So she put them on these two, and then I said, and there's another infant over here, and there's one over there. And so she put them on several, and then other people started putting them on other infants. And they're these little white snowballs, they're very cute. And and then it went on Saturday and Sunday. People are still taking these snowballs and putting them on the infant graves or young children. And it really was a pretty thing, because we had all of these flags, and then we had all of these little white snowballs for all these infant graves. And so it was kind of a spontaneous, unplanned thing that happened, but we'll have to wait and see if it happens again next year. It was kind of an interesting item. It really points out, especially when you go back into the 1800s, how many infants are lost. So anyway, that was an interesting story. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. And next, we'll move to Councilor West.
Thank you so much. So I did attend the Memorial Day ceremony at the Korean War Memorial with Council President Akerval. It was sobering and beautiful and important stuff. It was great to be there. Were so many community members. Kristen, do you think we had 200, 150? What do you think? It was a good turnout, and it was kind of gloomy for a second. Yeah, we had pretty good turnout with the flyover that happened. That was amazing. Kristen and I got to present the city wreath, which was an honor. And I heard over and over again how appreciative these organizations are that the city of Wilsonville takes such an active role in participating with that memorial and helping maintain it and care for it and remember the legacy and the memories of those people that paid the ultimate sacrifice. And so it was also a great time afterwards to visit with community members and other people that came out from different communities to our site. The Moose Lodge had some delicious donuts and coffee, and we had some time just to talk and to hang out. It was really wonderful. And then I also went to the Charbonneau Festival of Arts. I'm going to leave that for, did you know you're going to even talk about that tonight? We're passing that baton to our Charbonneau resident and city councilor, Joanne. But it was wonderful. We had a blast. I agree it was the best one I'd ever been to. It is bigger. It has got more things going on. We got performing arts even that weekend and student art and all this stuff. So I'm sure Joanne will share that. Also, we have our seniors graduating probably before our next actual city council meeting on the 20th. Many of them are graduating like now, I think. They're high school seniors graduating. So congratulations to the seniors that are graduating, all the graduates that are graduating, their families, all the hard work and sacrifice that you guys have put into this. We're very proud of you. And so it's that time of year that we remember their work also. And that's all I have this week.
Thank you so much. And now we'll go to Councilor Linville.
Thank you. I know we're running a little behind, so I'll try and go quickly. On the 18th of May, I attended the C4 Metro Subcommittee meeting, and pretty much that meeting was about the Regional Transportation Plan Amendment and the discussion about how the cost for the Abernathy Bridge is so much high, the bids are so much higher, expected to be higher than they were anticipated in the beginning.
And so ODOT is looking at applying for additional monies for phase 2, and there was a little bit of discussion as well about the proposed plan for the interstate bridge. And I believe there are some drawings that are up online that are pretty interesting they're not kind of the design, they're more conceptual than they are actual, and we were told again and again and again, these are just for, some, to begin to get an idea about what it might look like. They're talking about a cost of $3.2 to $4.8 billion for that interstate bridge. And they're not even, that is not even building inflation into the dollar amount. So, and then there was quite a bit of discussion about both with the roads and the tolling and the bridges and the rebuilds about meeting the governor's goals for being climate friendly and equitable. And so in all of those projects, there's plans to do some outreach to the diverse communities that are impacted by all these projects. There lots more going on there as well. And then today I attended the final meeting of the Willamette Falls Locks Commission. And we had two major jobs in our last meeting that we will have. One was to approve minutes from two previous meetings, and the other was, actually there were three things. One is to vote on whether we were going to give our logo to the new Willamette Falls Locks Authority with the permission for them to change the wording on it. But since we'd already paid for it, so we voted yes. We thought that was a good idea. And then there was about $58,000 left in the budget, and the discussion was should that money go back to the donating entities, or should the money go to the new authority, the Falls Authority? And we voted that it would be transferred to the Willamette Falls Locks Authority, but the reality is that the jurisdictions that gave the money will have to give their individual approval. So they will have to go back to the city of Wilsonville and to Metro, to Clackamas County, and because all of that was done through budget transfers directly to the commission, so they will have to get approval. And any of those jurisdictions could say, no, I'd like my $300 back that's remaining. So my guess is that most of that money will still go forward. On Wednesday morning, I will be assisting with the ribbon cutting with the Chamber of Commerce and in their Morning Spark event at the Soak Box. And it sounds like it's soap, but it's S-O-A-K. And it's a spa that's on Boone's Ferry, and it's a wellness center, and they have private infrared saunas and a cold plunge and a number of other things. So I'm kind of excited about doing that. And then on the 16th, there will be another ribbon cutting for Chug Coffee, and Chug went to Aurora and is now, as they say, coming back to Wilsonville where they belong. So, and they are, I believe, going to be located at Wilsonville Subaru. So that's kind of exciting. And then I wanted to forward an invitation to any of the city employees as well as administrators and the council to put on your calendar the 15th of June, somewhere around 12:30-ish. It will be kind of the official handoff of the Locks Commission to the Locks Authority, which, they will have a big sheet cake, and they're going to do tours of the locks. So if you haven't been there to go through the tours, then that would be great. I don't know that I'm able to attend that day, but I would imagine that Councillor Lehan will be there for sure.
It's already here on my calendar.
Yeah, and it's a great opportunity, I think, for any of our other leadership, and so it's kind of an open invitation to our city leadership to attend, and they'd be happy to host us. And then, as Councillor President Ackerval mentioned, on the 15th of June as well, in the morning from 7:30 to 11:30 will be the Wilsonville Business Summit that we are co-partnering with Clackamas Community College, and this is going to be kind of a really good event. Our businesses have been invited to attend, and it's going to be a listening session for the college, I think, and the city to hear what the needs of business and industry are for educated workforce in our area. And then lastly, I will kind of just say that the Arts Festival was the best that Charbonneau has ever had, and it was mostly because there is a new activity center that is there, and that the old building was housed in a number of different restaurants that never really made it. And so the building was raised, and this really spectacular new building is now there, and I think that's what made that festival the best. But we also had art that was anywhere from a $5 greeting card to a piece of artwork that was $5,000 or higher, and I think our attorney, our city attorney, was interested in some of that very expensive art. But there were some incredibly beautiful pieces there, in all different mediums, and really the entire upstairs of that building was all student art. And the whole purpose of that event is to provide scholarships to the high schools, to the art departments. And we know when budgets are tight, those are usually the arts and the performing arts, the visual arts, and performing arts are in jeopardy of being cut. So it's always
you should mention also that it's Wilsonville High School and Canby High School.
That's correct.
Because Charbonneau is in the Canby.
Canby School District, yes. And so that's usually a really exciting event when those checks can be presented to those art departments. And that is my report.
Excellent. Thank you all so much. Our next item is the consent agenda, and I will ask the city attorney to please read the titles of the consent agenda into record.
Resolution number, Resolution number 2963, a resolution to allocate community enhancement funds for fiscal year 2022-2023. Resolution number 2972, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing the city manager to execute a professional services agreement with Wallace Engineering for engineering, design, and construction support services for the Charbonneau Utility Repair, Village Green Circle, and Edgewater Lane project, capital improvement projects 1500, 2500, 4500, and 7500. Resolution number 2975, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing grant agreement with Wilsonville Community Sharing. Resolution number 2976, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing the city manager to execute a progressive design build agreement with Tapani Sund, a joint venture for design and construction of the Beckman Road Corridor project, capital improvement project numbers 2102, 4205, 4206, 4212, and 7067. Resolution number 2978, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing the sole source selection of Delta Connects, Inc. to supply and service Delta Controls HVAC controllers for all city facilities. Minutes of the May 16, 2022 City Council meeting.
Your Honor, I move to adopt the consent agenda as read.
I'll second that.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as read. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? I see none. Motion has passed 4-0. Which brings us to new business, which we have none, continuing business, none, and now on to our public hearing. So will the city attorney please read the title of resolution number 2973 into the record?
Resolution number 2973, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing a supplemental budget adjustment for fiscal year 2021-2022.
Thank you. Tonight we'll have a public hearing to consider resolution number 2973. The order of procedure for tonight's hearing is set out in detail in our city. And in brief, we'll start with a staff report. Next, the public will be asked to provide testimony, and I will ask everyone who signed up in advance to testify first in the order in which they signed up. And then I will ask if anyone present in council chambers would like to testify. And then I will ask if anybody who is on the Zoom meeting that has not testified but would like to testify may do so. After each person testifies, councilors may pose questions to be addressed by the person who testified or to staff to clarify any information that was conveyed in the testimony. And once City Council has heard from everyone and the City Council is satisfied if all the information, it has all the information it needs to render a decision, the public hearing will be closed. Council then deliberates, and I will announce the results. So we wish to hear from everyone who wants to testify. However, we request that you refrain from repeating testimony that's already been given by someone else. If you agree with what someone else before you has said, please provide your testimony indicating that you concur with what was previously said. So the public hearing is now open. And do I need to read this information on how to join via Zoom or call in? Because it occurs to me that that is not in, has not been covered. Should I read this aloud?
Council President Ockervall, you can read the call number in case anybody's attending, but otherwise all the information's on the screen. That's sufficient.
Okay, thank you. So I will notify people that if you wish to call in, you may call at the number of 1-669-900-6833. This is webinar ID 815-3605-6468, and you need to press *9 if you would like to speak. Email communication may be sent to the city recorder at cityrecorder@ci.wilsonville.or.us. Okay, so I'd like to invite the Finance Director, Keith Katko, to please provide staff presentation.
Thank you. I'm Keith Katko. I'm the city's finance director, and with me tonight is Catherine Smith, the city's assistant finance director. And we do have 4 resolutions that are kind of budgetary housekeeping that we'll go over tonight. And the first one is the fiscal year 2021-22 supplemental budget. So, and Catherine will touch on that.
Good evening. I'm Catherine Smith, the city's Assistant Finance Director, and for your consideration are 4 supplemental budget items. Just a moment while we share our screen.
There we go.
As outlined in the staff report, the first of these is a beginning fund balance adjustment to the sewer system development charge fund to tie out the prior year in the amount of $1.7 million. Next, the Kiva building roof truss repair to remove and replace damaged and deficient trusses in the amount of $350,840 funded by the general fund contingency. This project was funded by was approved by City Council on May 16th, 2022. Next, the Kiva Art Tech renovation in the amount of $60,000 funded by general fund contingency. And lastly, an adjustment for the historical Washington County related transportation funds in the amount of $394,715 from the Roads SDC Fund to the Washington County Transportation SDC Fund.
And that's it for the supplemental.
Okay, thank you. Do any city councilors have questions of staff at this time regarding the supplemental budget?
No.
I do not.
No.
Okay. So for public testimony, we'll start with people who signed up in advance to testify. Please remember to include your name and address for the record. Staff, if people have signed up in advance, could you please let us know who the first person to testify this evening will be?
No one has signed up in advance to testify.
Okay, and do we have any other members that are in council chambers that wish to testify?
We do not.
And is there anyone on Zoom meeting that wishes to testify on this proposal?
No, there is not.
If there is, please, okay, I was going to say, please indicate your interest by raising your hand in the participant section of the Zoom controls. But perhaps we don't have anyone on Zoom to raise their hand. But if so, then raise your hands and we'll call on you to testify. And at that time, you can unmute your audio and show your video for your testimony. Do we have anyone?
We do not.
Okay, thank you. So I'm assuming no other information from staff to add to the record, but I'll give City Council one other chance if there's any additional questions for staff.
No.
Okay, so hearing no further questions, then I hereby declare this public hearing closed at 8:49 p.m.
Your Honor, I move to adopt resolution number 2973.
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Excellent. Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
There's none.
Okay, hearing none, then I will call for a vote on the motion. Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. I do not have a view of the dais, but I think I heard everyone's voice. However, those opposed and those abstaining? Okay, I believe the motion passes on first reading 4-0. And so now we'll move on to our next item, and to just a note, we'll open the public hearing for all three of these resolutions. However, we'll vote on them independently, I believe, or separately. So Will the city attorney please read the titles for resolution number 2980, 2981, and 2982 into the record?
Resolution number 2980, a resolution declaring the city's eligibility to receive state shared revenues. Resolution number 2981, a resolution declaring the city's election to receive state shared revenues. Resolution number 2982, a resolution of the city of Wilsonville adopting the budget, making appropriations, declaring the ad valorem tax levy, and classifying the levy as provided by ORS 310.060 subsection 2 for fiscal year 2022-23.
Thank you. So tonight we will have a public hearing to consider resolution numbers 2980, 2981, and 2982. And again, the order of procedure for tonight's hearing is set out in detail in our city code. So in brief, we start with staff report. Next, will be asked to provide testimony, and I'll ask for anyone that has signed up in advance to testify first in the order in which they signed up, and then we'll ask if anyone present in council chambers would like to testify. And then I'll ask if anybody who's on the Zoom meeting who's not testified but would like to do so may testify. And after each person testifies, councilors may pose questions to be addressed by the person who testified or to staff to clarify any information that was conveyed in the testimony. Once the city council has heard from everyone and the city council is satisfied with all the information, that it has all the information it needs to render a decision, the public hearing will be closed. Council will deliberate and will announce the results. We do wish to hear from everyone who wants to testify. However, we request that you refrain from repeating testimony already given by someone else. And if you agree with what someone before you has said, please provide your testimony indicating that you concur with what has previously been said. To call in to join this public hearing, the number again is 1-669-900-6833. The webinar ID is 815-3605-6468. And please press *9 if you would like to speak. The city recorder can be reached at cityrecorder@ci.wilsonville.or.us. I believe that's the appropriate information for all to join this meeting. And let's see, the public hearing is now open. And Finance Director Keith Katko, please provide staff presentation.
Sure, just a little additional context. The two resolutions related to the state shared revenue are required in the Oregon revised statutes. The first one, ORS 2980, is just to have council acknowledge the city's eligibility to receive state revenue share, and we are eligible based on the fact that we provide all the services that they require in the statute except for fire, so we meet eligibility. The second resolution is also a requirement that we articulate our election to accept the state revenues, which pretty much is a no-brainer, and then open for any comments on the use of those funds. The use of those funds primarily for the largest is the gas tax that we receive, and that goes into our gas tax fund. The liquor tax, the state shared revenue, and the cigarette revenues go into our general fund, primarily to bolster the funding of the police services or any other general services. So those are the two required resolutions that we need to pass. And do you want to pass that first, or should I just go on to the budget one and do them all three at once?
Let's do all three at once since the public hearing's for all three, but then we'll vote on the resolutions each individually.
Okay. So then the bigger one tonight is the approval and the adoption of the fiscal year 22-23 budget, and that's resolution 2082, and that is also levying the full amount of the general tax rate at $2.5206, and the total fiscal year 22-23 budget is $285,059,238. I have it broken out by fund here, and certainly are available for any questions tonight or anytime during the year.
Hey, Keith, we can't see it.
Oh, am I not on screen share again?
No, but I'm sure it was an amazing presentation.
None of this has been on screen share? Okay.
The first part was.
But we're listening real good.
Yeah, okay. Anyway. I'll get my city recorder over here one more time. Sorry, I don't know how it got shifted off of screen share. With that, can entertain any larger questions about the budget. It's certainly a huge amount of numbers, so I'm not going to, we did go through it at the Budget Committee pretty meticulously, but if there are any high-level questions, can answer them here tonight. Okay.
Thank you. Do any counselors have questions for staff?
No.
I'm hearing none. So we'll move to public testimony. And so for public testimony, we will start with people who signed up in advance to testify. Please remember to include your name, address for the record. Staff, if people have signed up in advance, please let us know who the first person to testify this evening is.
No one has signed up in advance to testify.
Okay, thank you. And do we have anyone in chambers there that wishes to testify now?
There's no one in chambers who wishes to testify.
Okay, is there anyone on the Zoom meeting who wishes to testify on this proposal? If so, please indicate again by raising your hand in the participant section of the Zoom controls, and we will call on you to testify.
There is nobody on Zoom who has identified that they want to testify.
Okay, thank you. So the staff has nothing further to add for the record at this time, and City Council, again, I'll give opportunity for any additional questions for staff.
No, Your Honor, but I just want to point out, in case there's a lot of audience watching, that this is not because we're not asking questions, not because we're not interested, but because, as Mr. Katko pointed out, we have been through this in much more detail in the Budget Committee hearings, so it's not for lack of interest in the budget. Just a note.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Lehan, for that clarification. And I guess I will ask one question, and that is, if a member of the public wishes to review those public meetings that we held with our Budget Committee, how would a member of the public do so?
There's a link on our city's website to our YouTube channel, and everything's on there, all city council meetings as well as the Budget Committee meetings, so they're available to watch. And the budget book is available for download on the city's website as well.
Excellent, thank you. People can pop their popcorn in advance because those meetings do have quite a bit of content and length to them, but I very much appreciate all the participation for both our community members that sit on that Budget Committee and the rest of City Council. So hearing no further questions, and having given everyone the opportunity to testify, I hereby declare this public hearing closed at 8:59 p.m. So now it's time for council to consider each resolution. So first, we will consider resolution number.
Council President Ockerville, I have a question before we do the voting on the resolutions.
Yes.
We have language in for the first two in our packet, which I don't have a problem with, but for resolution 2982, the information that was up on the screen for us in terms of the recommended motion is different, and I thought that we actually had to approve the total amount in the budget as well as the amount that is the tax levy, correct, as it's printed in our packet?
Well, we had a little bit of last minute discussion on that with the city attorney this afternoon.
So unlike the Budget Committee where there isn't a document, a resolution that you are approving where you can just say, I move to approve resolution number whatever, that's why we have that full language in those motions. This, because you have a document that reflects all of that information, both the property tax levy and the total budget amount, you don't need to say all that verbiage as long as you're approving the resolution 2982.
Okay, all right.
And since I have the floor very quickly, Council President Ockervall, I apologize. And as soon as somebody starts reading something, you realize something that you wrote has a mistake. You don't need to say on first reading on these because there's only one reading.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that note. Okay. So do I have a motion to approve resolution number 2980?
Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 2980.
Second.
Thank you. Is there a second? Excellent. So it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 2980. Is there any discussion that council would like to have?
No.
So hearing no further discussion, questions, or commentary, I will call for a vote on the motion. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? And those abstaining? The motion passes 4-0. So next, we will consider resolution number 2981.
Anybody else want to do it, or you want me to keep going?
We have already received the staff presentation, an opportunity for questions on this.
Okay, Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 2981.
I'll second.
Thank you. Excellent. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any questions or, discussion?
No?
No.
Hearing no further discussion or commentary, I will call for a vote on the motion 2981. Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed? And those abstaining? The motion passes 4-0. And finally, we will consider resolution number 2982. Do I have a motion to approve resolution number 2982?
Your Honor, I move to approve the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 proposed budget in the total amount. Am I the right one?
Do all that.
No?
We just said.
Oh, I was going to say it? Okay.
You just say.
Your Honor, I move to adopt resolution number 2982, or approve resolution number 292.
Second.
Excellent. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor, I would just like to make a comment just to reiterate what Councillor Lehan mentioned about the budget hearings, and just to let the rest of our viewers and our public know that our budget committee is made up not only of city councilors and our staff, but we have a committee that is composed as well of citizens, and 5 citizens, and we spend 2 evenings going through the budget in detail. And the budget was approved by the budget committee after many questions and discussion about how the expenditures were planned in this budget. So I wanted to once again thank everyone who gave their time, and especially to our citizen members of the budget committee who participated in this important process, because this is one of the most important things that I think we do as a city council.
Thank you for that. Are there any other comments that other city councilors would like to make?
I will say ditto. I agree with everybody. We went through this with a fine-tooth comb. Our highly qualified members of the community that partnered with us did a fantastic job doing their due diligence and asking the important questions. Our staff actually, I think, provided one of the better preparation material for us. The way it was laid out was, I appreciated the way it came into the binder was really great. So all around, I think it was, we got where we needed to go and we all put in the work. And so I'm glad to see we're here making this vote tonight.
Thank you. Yes, this is this resolution. I mean, we will move through this evening rather quickly, it appears, but I know that it represents a tremendous amount of work from staff leading up to the budget meetings, which we held in May. Tremendous amount of work from our budget committee members to review those documentation pieces and to ask questions and to have that dialogue. So I am grateful for all of that. Okay, hearing no further discussion or commentary, I'll call for a vote on the motion. Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed? And those abstaining? Okay, the motion passes 4-0. Which now brings us to city manager's business.
I have nothing tonight, Council President Akkerval.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And legal business. Is there any legal business this evening?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, which brings us to adjournment, and we will quickly follow with an Urban Renewal Agency meeting. But I hereby declare the City Council meeting adjourned at 9:08 p.m. And we will move on to urban renewal. So I call to order the Urban Renewal Agency meeting on Monday, June 6th, 2022 at 9:08 p.m. And I wonder if the city recorder can please call the roll.
Member Linville?
Here.
Member West?
Here.
Member Lehan?
Here.
Vice Chair Ockerval?
Here. Thank you. So our first agenda item, actually, do we need a motion to approve this agenda?
It's just the consent agenda.
I'll ask our city attorney.
Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for our urban renewal meeting this evening?
Your Honor, I move to approve the order of agenda.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? It looks like the motion passes 4-0. And so now we will move to citizen input. And this is an opportunity for visitors to address the Urban Renewal Agency on items not on the agenda. It is also the time to address items that are on the agenda but not scheduled for a public hearing. Staff and the Urban Renewal Agency members will make every effort to respond to questions raised during citizen input before tonight's meeting ends or as quickly as possible thereafter. So we ask that you please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Do we have anyone that is wishing to give citizen input tonight?
We do not.
Do we have anybody on the Zoom meeting that wishes to give citizen input? If so, please indicate by raising your hand.
We do not.
Okay. And so now we will move on on to the consent agenda. And will the city attorney please read the titles of the consent agenda into the record?
URA Resolution Number 324, authorizing the city manager to execute a progressive design build agreement with Tapani Sund, a joint venture for design and construction of the Beckman Road Corridor Project, CIP numbers 2102, 4205, 4206, 4212, and 7067, and the minutes of December 20, 2021 Urban Renewal Agency meeting.
Your Honor, I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
I will second that motion.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as read. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 4-0. So we'll move on through new business and continuing business since we have none for tonight's agenda. However, we do have a public hearing, and I would like to ask the city attorney to please read the title of URA Resolution Number 325 into the record.
URA Resolution Number 325, a resolution of the Urban Renewal Agency of the City of Wilsonville adopting the budget, making appropriations, and declaring the intent to collect tax increment for fiscal year 2022-23.
Thank you. So tonight we'll have a public hearing to consider URA Resolution Number 325. We're getting well practiced at it now at this point. But the order of procedure for tonight's hearing is set out in detail in our city code. In brief, we'll start with a staff report, and next the public will be asked to provide testimony, and I'll ask everyone who signed up in advance to testify first in the order in which they signed up. And then I will ask if anyone present in council chambers would like to testify. And then I will ask anyone who is on the Zoom meeting who has not testified but would like to testify to do so. After each person testifies, councilors may pose questions to be addressed by the person who testified or to staff to clarify any information that was conveyed in the testimony. Once the Urban Renewal Agency has heard from everyone and the Urban Renewal Agency is satisfied it has all the information it needs to render a decision, the public hearing will be closed. The agency deliberates, and I will announce the result. We would like to hear from everyone who wants to testify. However, that you refrain from repeating testimony already given by someone else. If you agree with what someone else before you has said, please provide your testimony indicating that you concur with what has been previously said. To join this meeting via phone, please call number 1-669-900-6833, webinar ID 815-3605-6468, and press *9 if you would like to speak. Or you may email the city recorder at cityrecorder@ci.wilsonville.or.us. Okay, public hearing is now open. So I will ask, again, Finance Director Keith Katko to please provide staff presentation.
Thank you. I didn't get usually it comes in as a share screen. Here? Okay. This one? Are you sure? Okay. Kind of a roundabout way to get there. So I just have two slides tonight for the urban renewal budget. It's a budget of $42,268,218. You'll see that total resources will tie to total expenses. Of course, we have one urban renewal agency, but we have three plans. We have the year 2000 plan, we have the West Side plan, and we have the Coffee Creek plan. They are organized here in columnar format to get to that total proposed resource budget of $42.3 million. One of the more interesting things to highlight this year, the tax increment collected for the year 2000 has been reduced from $4 million to $3.5 million. And as we get closer to, we don't need that much increment to pay off the remaining outstanding debt. So we've reduced the increment we're collecting, so that $500,000 gets remitted back to the taxing jurisdictions next year, and then the following year, this district we will not need to collect any tax increment, so that complete $3.5 million will be released. So that is kind of the story of the resources. The requirements, as you can see, are also $42 million. And you can notice the capital outlay lists the 3 remaining projects. There's 2 remaining projects in the year 2000 district, wrapping up the 5th Street to Kinsman project and the Beckman Bridge project. That's a combined $16.1 million for capital outlay on that year 2000 plan. The West Side only has 1 remaining capital project as well. It is budgeted at $700,000 for next year for a total capital outlay budget of $16.8 million. So under the year 2000, you'll see that $8.3 million in debt service payment. Like I mentioned, that will fully defease the remaining debt in that plan. So that plan, as I mentioned, will be closed down in the following year. And the West Side is not far behind that, as well, as we have almost collected enough tax increment to pay off the remaining debt as well. So for our fiscal year budget for next year, it is a $42.3 million budget. And that is kind of the real highlight of that budget. And again, we had the Urban Renewal Budget Committee go over it last month as well. But if there's any outstanding questions now, or of course anytime throughout the year, you can email me or let me know. But if there's questions tonight, let me know.
Thank you. Do any counselors have questions for staff? Seems awfully quiet. So we'll move on. Public testimony. We'll start with people who have signed up in advance to testify. Do we have anyone who has signed up to testify?
No, we do not.
Okay. Is there anybody in council chambers that wishes to testify?
No, there is not.
Okay, and is there anyone on the Zoom that wishes to testify on this item? If so, please raise your hand in Zoom in the participant section to indicate that you wish to testify. Do we have anyone?
We do not.
Okay. And so I'm assuming that staff has nothing further to add at this time, but I will ask if City Council has any questions for staff yet again.
No.
Do not hear anything, so hearing no further questions and everyone having opportunity to testify, I hereby declare this public hearing closed at 9:18 p.m. So it's now time for the Urban Renewal Agency to consider URA Resolution number 325. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move to approve URA Resolution number 325.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Is there a second? Excellent. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Council President Vice Chair Ockervall, I just wanted to mention that once again, this budget went through the same budget process that and budget hearings that our primary city budget went through. And so this has also been reviewed and approved by the Budget Committee.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing no further discussion or commentary, I will call for a vote on the motion. All of those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. And those opposed? And those abstaining? The motion passes 4-0. And with that, appreciation for all of you helping me make it through this evening. Thank you so much.
Excellent job.
And I hereby declare the Urban Renewal Agency meeting adjourned at 9:20 p.m. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.